Hey, what's up, guys? The Studios here. What are you guys gonna do? Your fucking intros or not?
What?
Hey, it's DJ Cool 333. What's up?
And it's this guy.
What's with you guys? You're so grumpy today.
I'm
Well,
naturally just grumpy, dude.
yeah. And I'm just really sarcastic all the time, so.
Lighten up, man. Lighten up.
There's no reason for me to be happy. Holy shit! There was a
Jeez,
giant bomb
calm
there.
down, PG.
I'm just gonna play some phone
Oh, there was a
games.
giant bomb. There
Oh
was a
yeah!
giant bomb.
Oh, I almost forgot. We're gonna do a reaction. Guess what that reaction is?
Fucking bomb.
Gu-
Atom bomb.
No, guys. What's the reaction What are we gonna react to?
A creepy
Tell
pasta.
us.
Yeah, a creepypasta.
You tell
That
us.
creepypasta would be the NoEnd house. I think that's what it is. NoEnd house.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's a
We're just
no
in
end
here to listen to
house.
you. You gotta tell us.
Is it
So
no
what's
end
the
house
reaction?
or is it no end house?
It's no end house. No end. I
You
don't
gotta tell
know.
us.
Well, we're gonna start it in three,
Pete.
2,
2,
1.
1. Play.
Bang. Play.
Mr. Creepy Pasta.
I like the music he has in the
Peter
background.
Was
Weird.
addicted to heroin.
Sexy.
That's stylish.
Oh,
We
apparently.
were friends in college and continued to be after I graduated.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
Notice that I said I.
It's
He
the
dropped out
creepypasta. Be quiet,
after 2
it's
years of barely cutting it. After I moved out of the dorms
be
and into
quiet.
a small apartment, I didn't see Peter as much. We would talk online every now and then. AIM was king in pre-Facebook years. And there was a period where he wasn't online for about 5 weeks straight. I wasn't worried. He was a pretty notorious flake and a drug addict, so I assumed that he just stopped caring. And then one night, I saw him log on.
Well, you see, we're
Before I
assuming
could
it's
initiate a
us.
conversation, he sent me a message. David, man, we need to talk. And that's when he told me about the
Dude.
NoEnd house.
Whoa.
It got that name because no one had ever reached the final exit. The rules were pretty simple and cliche. Reach the final room of the building and you win $500. There were 9 rooms
That's
in all.
cliche.
The house was located outside the city,
Extremely.
roughly 4 miles from my house. Apparently, Peter had tried.
It's a pretty nice
everything.
house.
He was a heroin and who knows what the fuck addict, so I figured that the drugs got the best of him. He wigged out at a paper ghost or something. He told me
Of course,
it would be
his
tough
friend
for
tells him not to go there. Of course, he's gonna go there.
I didn't believe
That's
him.
that's
I told him I would check it out
it's
the next night,
obvious.
Common
and no matter
sense.
how
Common
hard he
sense.
tried to convince me otherwise,
Not really. You don't.
$500.
If a friend tells you not to
sounded
go
too
to
good
a
be true.
house,
I
you
had
don't go to that house. I'm just
I set out
saying.
the following night.
But you just end up. But you know someone will just end up doing it
When I
anyway.
arrived, I
'Cause-
immediately
'cause
noticed
logic.
something strange about the building.
And
Have you ever
badasses.
seen or read something that shouldn't be scary? But for some reason, a chill falls up your spine.
No, not really.
I walked towards the building,
Kinda.
and the feeling
Jeez.
of uneasiness only intensified as I opened the front door. My heart slowed, and I let a relieved sigh leave me as I entered. The room looked like a normal hotel lobby decorated for Halloween. A sign was posted in place of a worker. It read, "Room 1, this way.
It's like this is 40
8 more
minutes.
follow. Reach the end and you win." I chuckled and made my way to the first
Seems
area. The first area
seems
was
legit.
almost laughable. The decor resembled the Halloween aisle of a Kmart, complete
We
with
got enough
sheep
disk space
ghosts
for
and
this.
animatronic zombies that gave a static growl when you passed by. At the far end was an exit. It was the only door besides the one I entered through. I brushed through the fake spider webs and headed for the second room. I was greeted by
Or were they
in the door to the
fake?
next room. The room
Ugh.
definitely upped the ante in terms of technology. Not only was there a fog machine, but a bat hung from the ceiling and flew in circles. Scary. They seem to have a Halloween soundtrack that one would find in the 99
That's
cent store on
that's
loop somewhere in the
terrifying. Are
room.
you kidding me?
I didn't see
Oh,
a stereo, but I
God.
guess they
Oh,
must
God.
have used a PA system.
The hell?
I stepped over a few toy rats that wheeled around
The
and
pastel
walked
man.
with a puffed chest across to the next area.
I like how I said a
I
puff
reached
chest.
the doorknob, and my heart sank to my knees.
Ew.
I did not want to open the door.
Ugh, man.
Should get that checked
Oh,
out
man.
by a
Dread hit
doctor.
me so hard that I could barely
Oh,
even
man.
think. Logic overtook me after a few terrified moments, and I shook it
I
off.
want to make sure I hear
into the
that.
next
Wee
room.
wee wee. Start
Seriously?
happening.
Room
To,
3
That should have happened when your friend told you about the house.
is when things began
good
to change.
God.
It's when everything changed.
On the surface, it looked
It's
like
when my
normal.
perception on reality
There was a
changed.
chair in the middle of the wooden paneled floor. A single lamp in the
Oh,
corner did a
no.
poor job of lighting the area, casting a few shadows across the floor and walls. That was the problem.
My
Shadows.
closet door is open right now and it's creeping me out.
With the exception of the chairs,
It's
there were
freaking dark
I had
all
barely
around
walked in
me,
the door,
and
I
Because
was
I'm
terrified.
sitting in
It was
the dark right
at that
now.
moment that I knew something
complete
wasn't
darkness,
right. I didn't
and
even think as I automatically tried to open the door that
just
I came from.
you know what I'm about to say.
It was locked from the other
Before I have
side.
to get into it.
That set me
So
off.
I'm just saying,
Was
I'm
something
looking around right
blocking
now.
the doors as I progressed? There was no way. I
What
would
I'm
have heard
seeing.
them. Was it a mechanical lock that's set automatically? Maybe. But I was too scared to really think. I turned back to the room, and the shadows.
Maybe it was the ghosts.
The chair's shadow remained.
Tom Joad.
The others were gone.
I'm gonna turn my
I
mic
slowly
down.
began to walk. I used to hallucinate when I was a kid, so I wrote off the
That
shadows
right
as a
during
figment of
your
my
recording.
imagination.
But go ahead.
I began to feel better as I made it to the halfway point of the room. I looked down as I took my steps. And that's when I saw it. Or didn't see it. My shadow wasn't there.
Nice.
I didn't have time to scream. I ran as fast as I could to the other door and flung
He's
myself
Peter
without
Pan.
thinking into the room beyond.
Or he's a vampire, I don't know.
Possibly the most disturbing.
Yeah, there, a
Close
lot
the
of
door, all light
common
seemed
logic.
to be
Anything
sucked
works, I
out
guess.
And put back into the previous room.
Michael Jackson's Peter Pan.
I stood there.
Nope, Michael
Surrounded by
Jackson was
darkness.
bad at it. Nope,
Unable to
Michael
move.
Jackson was bad at it. Nope, Michael
I'm not
Jackson was
afraid of the dark
badass.
and never have been.
Who could
Michael
grab his
Jackson was a
crotch?
child
I was
molester.
terrified.
Who could grab his crotch
All sight had
and
left
sing
me.
at the same time?
I held my
Grab his
hand in
crotch
front
and
of my
sing at the
face.
same time.
Okay,
If I
be
didn't
quiet.
know what I was doing, I would never have been able to tell. Darkness doesn't describe it. I couldn't hear anything. It was dead silence. When you're in a soundproof room, you can still hear yourself breathing. You can hear yourself being alive. I couldn't.
Oh no.
I began to stumble forward.
So
after a
he
few moments, my
died?
rapid beating heart, the only thing that I could
Oh,
feel.
my.
There was no door
Well,
in sight. I wasn't even sure there
I
was
knew
one
it.
this
I was in
time.
every causes someone obviously has to die.
Silence was then broken by a low.
Did he died?
I felt something behind me.
He
I
did.
spun
I
around
would-
wildly, but could barely
Just saying,
even
if
see
he
my
did,
nose.
I would not be surprised at all.
I knew it was
Don't blame me
there.
if I am not surprised.
Regardless of how dark it was, I knew something was there. The hum grew louder. Closer. It seemed to surround me, but I knew whatever was causing the noise was in front of me. Inching closer. I took a step back. I had never felt that kind of fear. I can't really describe true fear. I wasn't even scared I was going to die. I was scared of what the alternative was. I was afraid of what the thing had in store for me. Then the lights flashed for a second and I saw it.
Oh no.
Nothing.
Done, fucking done.
Of course,
I saw
there's nothing.
No. I saw nothing there. The room was again plunged into darkness, and the
I was
hum
really afraid
became
of
a
something.
wild screech. I screamed in protest. I couldn't hear the goddamn sound for another minute. I ran backwards away from the noise and fumbled for the door handle. I turned and fell into room 5. Before I describe room
God
5,
damn it. fucking assholes playing a movie in the background of my.
You have to understand something. I am not a drug addict.
What?
Had
I
no
don't
history
care.
of drug abuse or any sort of psychosis,
really do not
short
give a
of
shit.
the childhood hallucinations.
Okay, why
I
are you
mentioned
giving
earlier,
this
and those were
information?
only
Nobody
when I
cares.
was really tired or just waking up.
Like, I
entered
give
the
two
NoEnd
rats
house
asses.
with a clear head.
Dude, if I'm ready to shove it in your cornhole.
I don't give a rat's
He's saying
patootie.
that because drugs are psychedelic.
Falling in from the previous
Say,
floor,
suck it, put it up your suck hole.
my
Your
view
suck
of
hole?
room 5 was from my
Fart
back
knocker.
looking up at the ceiling.
Good.
What
Goddamn
I saw
fart
didn't
knockers.
scare me. It simply
I don't care.
surprised me.
Oh my god, I could hear this a million times. I really...
Going to the room.
Oh my god, I really don't care at all.
Ceilings in this room were
I've heard this all before.
than the others, which made me think that I was in the center of the house. I got up off the floor, dusted myself off, and took a look around. It was definitely the biggest room of them all. I couldn't even see the door from where I was.
Oh my god.
Various
My
brush
cat
and
just scared the
trees must
crap
have
out of
blocked
me.
my line of sight. Up to this point,
He just
I
like
figured I
brushed
was
up
going to
against
get
my
scared,
leg.
but
I'm like,
this-
shit.
this
Oh
was
no.
paradise compared to
I
the
would
last
brush
one.
up against your leg, but you know.
Oh
I
my.
also assumed whoever was in room 4 stayed back there. I was incredibly lost. As I made my way deeper into the room, I began to hear what one would hear if they were in a forest. Chirping bugs and the occasional flap of birds seemed to be my only company in this room.
Are you sure you're not on drugs?
That was the thing that bothered me the most.
Nope, he's on that
I
marijuana.
heard the
I think-
bugs and
Oh,
others,
listen. What's going to
but I
happen?
didn't see any of them.
I
Began to
seriously
wonder how
think
big
that,
this
like,
house was.
he was
From the
drugged
outside,
as
when I
soon as
first
he
walked
walked
up
into
to
the
it,
house.
it looked like
we're
a
gonna have to
regular
like make
house.
subtitles for this
It was
whole entire
definitely
video.
on the bigger side, but this
Why?
was almost a full
Because-
forest in here.
We're just talking over
The canopy
this shit,
covered my view of the ceiling, but I assumed
right?
it was still
Which
there.
one?
However high it was,
All right, who's gonna do it?
I couldn't
I
see
will,
the
I
walls
guess.
either. The only way I knew I was still inside was that the floor matched the other rooms. The standard dark wood paneling. I kept walking, hoping that the next tree I passed would reveal the door. After a few moments of walking, I felt a mosquito fly onto my arm. I shook it off. A second later, I felt about 10 more land on my skin at different places. I felt them crawl up and down my arms and legs, and a few made their way across my face. I flailed wildly to get them all off, but they just kept crawling. I looked down and let out a muffled scream. No, more of a whimper, to be honest. I didn't see a single bug. Not one bug was on me, but I could feel them crawl. I heard them fly by my face and sting my skin, but I couldn't see a single one. I dropped to the ground and began to roll wildly. I was desperate. I hated bugs, especially ones I couldn't see or touch, but these bugs could touch me. They were everywhere. I began to crawl. I had no idea where I was going. The
So,
entrance was
ghost
nowhere in
bugs?
sight, and I
I don't
still
know.
hadn't even seen the
Ghost
exit.
bugs.
So I just crawled. My skin
My
wriggling with
God.
the presence of those
Ghost
fearsome bugs.
buggers.
After what seemed like hours, I felt the door.
Bug
I
up.
grabbed the nearest tree and propped myself up, mindlessly slapping my arms and legs to no avail. I tried to run, but I couldn't. My body was exhausted from crawling and dealing with whatever it was that was on me. I took a few shaky steps to the door, grabbing each tree on the way for support. It was only a few feet away when I heard it. The low hum from before. It was coming from the next room, and it was deeper.
Oh,
I
no.
could almost feel it inside of my body, like when you stand next to an amp at a concert. The feeling of the bugs on me lessened as the hum grew louder. As I placed my hand on the doorknob, the bugs were completely gone.
Oh my god, I'm derping out over here.
Derping out. What the hell?
What?
I couldn't bring
What?
myself to turn the knob. I knew that if I let go, the bugs would return, and there was no way I would make it back to room 4. I just stood there. My head pressed against the door marked 6, and my hand shakily grasping the knob. The hum was so loud I couldn't even hear myself pretend to think. There was nothing I could do but move on. Room 6 was next. And room 6
Yeah, really, no, I don't. Okay.
was hell.
All these pastas are just.
I closed the
creepy.
door behind me. My eyes held shut, my ears ringing, the hum.
I see what
was
you
surrounding
did
me.
there.
As the door clicked into place, the hum was gone.
I wonder who came up with the name Creepypasta.
I don't know.
I opened my eyes in surprise.
I mean,
for
out
the
of
door
all
that
the
I had
names,
shut
you
was
had to
gone.
call it
It was just a
Creepypasta.
wall now. I looked around in shock. The room was identical to room 3.
Like,
Same
I
chair
mean,
and
you
lamp.
couldn't think of any other name? Or
Correct
like,
amount of shadows this time.
So either they saw some pasta that creeped them out, or they're just really into pasta and
exit
scary stories.
And the one I came through was gone.
I do like
As I said
pasta, though.
before,
Pasta's
I had
good.
no previous issues in terms of mental instability, but
I don't
at
agree.
that moment, I fell into what I now
I
know
don't give a
was insanity.
crap.
I didn't scream.
not
I
important
didn't
to
make a
me.
sound.
That's what I hear every time. At
At
one
first,
point, I just hear
I
at
scratched
that moment,
softly.
or something happens, or something.
The walls were tough, but I knew the door was there somewhere. I just knew it was. I scratched it where the doorknob was. I clawed at the wall frantically with both hands. My nails were filed down to the skin against the wood. I fell silently to my knees. The only sound in the room, the incessant scratching against the wall. I knew it was there. The door was there. I knew it was there. I knew if I could just get past this wall. Are you all right? I jumped off the ground and spun in one motion. I leaned against the wall behind me, and I saw
It's Rainbow Dash.
what it was that
Oh,
scratched
God.
me. To this day, I regret ever
Will
turning
you be
around.
my sugar cube?
Oh, Lord.
There was a little girl.
Mother of Lord.
Oh
She was
my.
wearing a soft white dress that went down to her ankles. She had long blonde hair to the middle of her back, and white skin and blue eyes. She was the most frightening thing I had ever seen, and I know that nothing in my life will ever be as unnerving as what I saw in her. While looking at her, I saw something else.
The door?
Where she stood, I saw what looked like a man's body, only larger than normal, and covered in hair. He was naked from head to toe, but his
Bigfoot?
head was
Chewbacca?
not human, and his toes were hoofs.
Roswell, what the fuck?
It wasn't
Is it
the
the
devil.
devil? Oh,
But I thought
okay.
Done, done,
it might as well have been.
done, done,
The form
motherfucking
had
done.
the
Is it
head
your
of a
mom?
ram
That's
and the
good.
snout of a wolf.
Again, overplayed.
It was horrifying,
Yeah,
and
it
it
is.
was synonymous
Really?
with the little girl in front of me.
Yeah, it is.
They were the same form. I can't really describe it, but I saw them at the same time. They shared the same spot in the room, but it was like looking at two separate dimensions. I saw the girl, I saw the form. When I saw the form, I saw the girl. I couldn't speak. I could barely even see. My mind was revolting against what it was attempting to process. I'd been scared before in my life. I had never been more scared when I was trapped in the 4th room, but that was before room 6. I just stood there staring at whatever it was that spoke to me. There was no exit.
Hmm.
I was trapped here with it.
Dude, I know that feeling,
And then
man.
it spoke again. David,
What?
you should have listened. When it spoke, I heard
See,
the words
that-
of the little girl. But
That
nothing
little
spoke
girl
through my
knows.
mind
She
in a voice
knows.
I won't attempt to describe.
Listen to what?
There was
The
no other sound.
dude
the voice
that
just kept
told him
repeating
not
the
to go to
sentence
the
over and over
house.
and over again in my head, and I agreed. I didn't know what to do. I was slipping into madness. I
Oh.
couldn't take my
See,
eyes
that-
off
that-
of what was
that
in
little
front of
girl
me.
knows what's
I dropped
up.
to the floor. I thought that I had passed out, but the room wouldn't let me. I just wanted it to end. I was on my side. my eyes wide open, and the form staring down at me, scurrying across the floor in front of me, was one of the battery-powered rats from the second room. The house was toying with me.
Oh no.
But for some reason, seeing that rat pulled my mind back from whatever depths it was headed. And I looked around the room. I was getting out of there. I was determined to get out of that house and live and never think about this place again. I knew this room was hell, and I wasn't ready to take up residency. At first, it was just my eyes that moved. I searched the walls for any kind of opening. The room wasn't that big, so it didn't take long to soak up the entire layout. The demon still taunted me, the voice growing louder as the form stayed rooted where it stood.
Oh no.
I placed my hand on the floor, lifted myself up to all fours, and turned to scan the wall behind me.
It's already half over. Good.
Then I saw something I couldn't believe.
Good God.
The form was now right at my back, whispering into my mind how I shouldn't have come. I felt its breath on the back
Whispering
of my neck,
into your
I refused to turn
mind.
around. A large
Oh,
rectangle
God.
I felt
scratched
its
into
breath
the
on the
wood,
back of my neck.
with a small dent chipped away in the center of it, right in front of my eyes. I saw the large
a rush of excitement
seven.
through my body. No, I'm
It had
kidding.
mindlessly etched
Oh,
into the
what?
wall.
Oh.
I
Wait,
knew
what?
what it was. Room 7 was just
This is
beyond
true.
that wall where room 5 was moments ago. I don't know how I done it. Maybe it was just my state of mind at the time, but I had created the door. I knew I had. In my madness, I had scratched into the wall what I needed the most, an exit to the next room. Room 7 was close. I knew the demon was right behind me, but for some reason it couldn't touch me. I closed my eyes and placed both hands on the large 7 in front of me. I pushed as hard as I could. The demon was now screaming in my ear. It told me that I was never leaving. It told me that this was the end, but I wasn't going to die. I was going to live there in room 6 with it. I wasn't. I pushed and screamed at the top of my lungs. I knew I was going to push through the wall eventually. I clenched my eyes shut and screamed, and the demon was gone.
Push!
The baby's almost here. Push.
Push the prank!
Push hard, damn it!
Push!
Get it out of there!
Push
Get
it! Yeah. It's yeah, the alien.
I turned around
freaking
slowly.
Thing.
I was
Oh,
greeted
never
by
mind.
the room as it
Get that
was
thing out of
when I
there!
entered. Just a chair
Yeah, just a chair
and a lamp.
and a lamp.
I couldn't believe it. But I didn't have time to waste. I turned back to the 7 and jumped back slightly. What I saw was a door.
Open the door.
And it wasn't the one that I'd scratched in, but a regular door with a large 7 on it.
Huh.
My whole body was shaking. It took me a while to turn the knob. I just stood there for a while, staring at the door. I couldn't stay in room 6. I couldn't. But if this was only room 6, I couldn't imagine what 7 had in store. I must have stood there for
You
hours,
ain't seen
staring
nothing yet,
at the
boy.
You ain't seen nothing.
And finally, with a deep
yet,
breath,
boy.
I twisted the knob and opened the door to room 7. I stumbled through the door, mentally exhausted and physically weak.
Oh no.
The door behind me closed.
That's how I am on testing week.
Oh yeah, that rhymed.
That was me with my finals. Good God.
Really.
Oh yeah.
Freaking that week of final exams. Oh my
I was
god.
outside.
Man, it was like
Well, it
Not
was
outside
kind of
like
long,
room
but
5, but actually
having to study.
fairly easy.
Having to study for that whole week, but feels good to get it done.
my eyes stung. I
Yeah.
wanted to cry. I fell to my knees and tried, but I couldn't.
I actually think the
really
lowest
let
grade
down.
I had
didn't
on
even
a
care
test
about
was
the
a C.
prize that was promised. I turned
Lowest grade I
and
had
saw
on
that
the
the door I
test was
just
a
went
B.
through was the entrance.
One classmate literally failed the whole his final exam.
I walked to
Look where
my
they put
car
him.
and I drove home thinking of how nice a
Oh
shower
man,
sounded.
he was in those retarded
I
classes.
pulled up to my house. I felt uneasy. The
You
joy of
drove
leaving
home?
NoEnd house had faded.
Yeah. He had a
Dread
chance to make
was
it up,
slowly building in my
but
stomach. I shook it off as a
Didn't do it.
residual from the house and made my way to the front door. I entered and immediately went up to my room. There on my bed was my cat, Baskerville. It was the first living thing that I'd seen all night.
That's an awesome
and I
cat,
reached to pet
man.
him. He hissed and swiped at my hand. I recoiled in shock. He'd never acted like that. Whatever. He's an
You
old cat.
still in the house, boy?
I jumped in the shower, get ready for what I was expecting to be a sleepless night. After my shower, I went to the kitchen to make something to eat. I descended the stairs and turned to the family room. What I saw would be forever burned into my mind, however. My parents were lying on the ground, naked and covered in blood. They were mutilated to near unidentifiable states. Their limbs were removed and placed next to their bodies. Their heads were placed on their chests facing me. The most unsettling part was their expressions.
It's art, okay?
They were smiling as though they were happy to see me. I
You're
vomited
so
and
gothic
sobbed
and wrong.
there in the family room. I didn't know what had happened. They didn't even live with me at the time. I was a mess. And then I saw it. A door that was never there before. A door with a large 8 scrawled
Oh.
on it in blood.
Oh no.
You still in the house, boy?
Son of a
I was
bitch.
still in the house. I was standing in my family room, but I was in room 7. The faces of my parents smiled wider as I realized this. They weren't my parents. They couldn't be. But they looked
Well,
exactly
obviously not. You're still in the freaking house, so...
The door marked 8 was across the room behind the mutilated bodies in
They
front
could
of
be
me.
your parents.
I knew I had to move on, but at
Touche.
that moment I gave up.
Your parents could be in room 7. Your family, your house could be in room 7.
The smiling faces tore into my mind.
Really?
They grounded me where I stood. I vomited again and nearly collapsed, then returned.
Oh no.
It was louder
The
than
hum.
ever, and it filled the house and shook the walls. The hum.
Oh,
Whoa. Hum.
I began to walk,
tum, tum, tum,
making
tum.
my way closer to the door and the bodies.
Please don't sue us.
That commercial is so
closer I
overplayed.
came to suicide.
It is.
The walls were now shaking so hard
But it
seemed as
doesn't
though
matter 'cause
they were
it's
going to
short.
crumble, but still the faces smiled at me as I inched closer, their eyes following me. I was now between the two bodies, a few feet away from the door. The dismembered hands clawed their way across the carpet towards me. All the while the faces continued to stare. New terror washed over me, and I walked faster. I didn't want to hear them
So
speak. I
they're
didn't
like
want
zombie
the voices
hands.
to match those of my parents.
Ooh.
They began to open their mouths, and the hands were
Scary.
inches from my feet. In a dash of desperation, I lunged towards the door, threw it open, and slammed it behind
I'm
me.
not intimidated.
Oh, door 8. I see.
Room 8.
Oh god.
Okay.
I was done.
Not intimidate me.
After what I had just experienced, I knew there wasn't
A lot of
anything
reasons
else
why.
this fucking house could throw at me that I couldn't live through. There was nothing short of fires of hell.
Well, you made it this
I wasn't
far,
ready
so
for it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right?
But unfortunately, I underestimated the abilities of a NoEnd house. Unfortunately, things got more disturbing, more terrifying, and more unspeakable in room 8.
I would cry if I saw that, man.
Really?
I still have trouble believing what I saw in room 8.
I wouldn't cry.
Again, the room was a carbon copy of rooms 3 and 6, but
Or at
sitting
least DJ wouldn't cry.
in the usual empty chair was a man.
You obviously know that. Yeah, you obviously know it.
After a few seconds of disbelief, my mind finally accepted the fact that the man sitting in the chair was me. Not someone who looked like me. It was David Williams.
Great, you just threw your whole entire name out on the internet. Smart job.
Good job,
I'd get a
dumbass.
better look, even though
Really.
surely he looked
So basically, you
I
see
know
yourself
serious.
sitting in a chair.
No sense whatsoever in this.
Please don't do it. Please don't hurt. What? I ask, who are you? I'm not going to hurt you. Yes, you are. He was sobbing. You're going to hurt
Dang,
me.
this guy's freaking.
And I don't want you
This guy's a
to.
freaking masochist.
He sat in the chair with his legs up and began rocking back and forth.
Masochism is fun.
It was actually
Yeah.
pretty looking, especially since he was me.
Oh, God.
Identical in every way. Listen, who are you? I was now only
Who
a
was
doppelganger.
this strikingly handsome man?
It was the weirdest experience yet.
Arizona.
Standing there talking to myself. I wasn't scared, but I would be soon. Why are you? You're going to hurt me! You're going to hurt me! If you want to leave, you're going to hurt me. Why are you saying this? Calm down, alright? Let's just try and figure this.
If you want to leave, you're going to hurt me.
The David sitting down was wearing the same clothes as me.
You know what this is perfect
Hold
for?
on.
You know what this situation is perfect
For
for?
a small red patch
What?
on his shirt.
Why are you hitting yourself?
embroidered with
Why are
the
you hitting
number
yourself?
9. You're going to hurt me! You're going to hurt me! Don't, please, you're going to hurt me! You're going to hurt me.
So he's gonna hurt himself?
You're going to hurt me.
Go ahead then, bitch.
Please don't hurt me. Please.
You say you gonna hurt himself?
That's
Go ahead.
His chest. I knew exactly.
Do it in front of me, even.
Hey, dude, dude.
Go ahead.
Were plain and simple, but after a while they got a little more ambiguous. 7 was scratched into the wall.
What the fuck is going on?
By my own hands, it was marked in blood above the bodies of my parents, but 9. 9. This number was on a person. A living person. Worse, too, it was on a person that looked exactly like me.
Excuse me.
David? I had to ask. Yes. Yes. You're going to hurt me. You're going to hurt me. He continued to sob and rock. He answered to David.
I mean, you don't really have a choice, so.
He was me, right down to the voice.
Well, when it comes to
But
this,
at
what
9.
do you do?
I paced around for a few minutes when he sobbed in his chair. The room had no
Would
doors,
you
and
rather?
similarly to room 6. The door I came through was gone. For some reason, I assumed that scratching would get me nowhere this time, and I studied the walls and the floor on the chair, sticking my head underneath, seeing if anything was below. Fortunately, there was. Below the chair was a knife. Attached was a tag that read, "To David, from management." The feeling in my stomach as I read that tag was something sinister. I wanted to throw up, and the last thing I wanted to do was remove the knife from under the chair. The other David was still sobbing uncontrollably. My mind was spinning into an attic of unanswerable questions. Who put this here? How did they get my name? Not to mention the fact that, as I knelt on the cold wood floor, I also sat in that chair, sobbing in protest of being hurt by myself. It was all too much to process. The house and the management had been playing with me this whole time. My thoughts, for some reason, turned to Peter and whether or not he got this far. If he did,
Are you seriously considering that there's a
Terry sobbing
management
in this very chair,
at this
rocking
point?
back and forth with. I shook those thoughts out of my head. It didn't matter. I took the knife from under the chair, and immediately, the other David went quiet. David, he said in my voice, what do you think you're going to do? I lifted myself from the ground and clutched the knife in my hand. I'm going to get out of here. David was still sitting in the chair, though he was very calm now. He looked up at me with a slight grin. I couldn't tell if he was going to laugh or strangle me, and slowly he got up from the chair and stood facing me. It was uncanny. His height and even the way he stood matched mine. I felt the rubber hilt of the knife in my hand and gripped it tighter. I didn't know what I was planning. I didn't know what I was planning on doing with it, but I had a feeling that I was going to need it.
It's a knife. What do you... What?
Now,
Never
his
mind.
voice was slightly deeper than my own. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to keep you here. I didn't respond. I just lunged and tackled him to the ground. I had mounted him and looked down, knife poised and ready. He looked up at me, terrified. It was like I was looking in a mirror. And then the hum returned, low and distant, though I still felt it deep in my body. David looked up at me as I looked down at myself. The hum was getting louder, and I felt something inside of me snap. With one motion, I slammed the knife into the patch on his chest and ripped it down. Blackness fell in the room, and I was falling. Darkness around me was like nothing I had experienced. Up to that point, room 4 was dark, but it didn't come close to what was completely engulfing me. I wasn't even sure that I was falling after a while. I felt weightless, covered in black. And then a deep sadness came over me. I felt lost, depressed, and suicidal. The sight of my parents entered my mind. I knew it wasn't real, but I had seen it. And the mind had trouble differentiating between what was real and what wasn't. The sadness only deepened. I was in room 9 for what seemed like days. The final room. And that's exactly what it was. The end. NoEnd house had an end, and I had reached it. And at that moment, I gave up. I knew that I would be in that in-between state forever. Accompanied by nothing but darkness. Not even the hum was there to keep me sane.
So he's like in limbo or something? I don't know.
I couldn't feel myself. I couldn't hear anything. Sight was completely useless here. I searched for a taste in my mouth and found nothing. I felt disembodied and completely lost. I knew where I was. This was hell. Room 9 was hell. And then it happened. A light. One of those stereotypical lights at the end of the tunnel. I felt ground come up from below me, and I was standing.
Well, at least he's honest about it.
For a moment or two, gathering my thoughts and senses, I slowly walked towards the light. As I approached the light, it took form. It was a vertical slit down the side of an unmarked door. I slowly walked through the door and found myself back where I started. The lobby of NoEnd house. It was exactly how I left it, still empty, still decorated with childish Halloween decorations after everything that had happened that night. I was still wary of where I was. After a few moments of normalcy, I looked around the place, trying to find anything different. And on the desk was a plain white envelope with my name handwritten on it. Immensely curious, but still cautious, I mustered up the courage to open the envelope. Inside was a letter. Handwritten.
Inside was a letter.
There was a letter inside. A letter inside an envelope.
Congratulations, you
That's
made it to the end of
unusual.
NoEnd House. Please accept this prize as a token of great achievement. Yours forever.
Really?
Management. And with the letter
I
were
feel like-
5 $100 bills.
I feel like yours forever is foreshadowing something.
I couldn't stop
Does anyone
laughing.
else feel like that?
I laughed for what seemed like hours. I laughed as I walked out to my car. And I laughed as I drove home.
Okay.
And I laughed as I pulled up to my driveway. And I laughed as I opened my front door to my house. And I laughed as I saw the small 10 etched
Sweet.
into the wood.
Oh,
Fuck!
what's the matter?
Oh,
What's wrong?
so
Fuck.
he can never leave the house, basically.
Fuck.
So-
I thought it ended.
Apparently,
Oh my god.
there's a second one. You want to watch that one too, or you want
Yeah, sure.
to? Okay.
Oh, what a shock.
No
It's
End
the fir-
House Part 2 coming up.
I think you should make like 2 separate videos.
Alright, let's go in this video. Thanks guys for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe to my videos. My favorite one is the comments because I like to see how people think of my stuff. Like if I made any mistakes or anything. And,
Little
yeah.